I'm Muhammed Hamdan and this is Nightline, news making the headlines. Ramadan in transition to endemic phase. Prime Minister advises to continue self-control. And 10,000 domestic helpers to arrive in Malaysia. Good morning. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and the Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Hajah Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria extended their Ramadan greetings to all Muslims in Malaysia on Saturday. With the arrival of Ramadan, the King urged all Muslims to strengthen their faith and increase religious activities as well as good deeds during the holy month. In a post on the Istana Negara Facebook page, Al-Sultan Abdullah also urged Muslims in Malaysia to dedicate themselves to meaningful pursuits and to strengthen their solidarity with one another. The King expresses hope that Ramadan al-Mubarak will be marked by humility and gratitude to the blessings and grace bestowed by God upon all Muslims. Al-Sultan Abdullah also said that Malaysians should ensure that they and their loved ones are protected by getting COVID-19 booster shots. Their Majesties also invited all Muslims to pray together in conjunction with Ramadan so that the country would continue to be blessed and protected against all threats as well as calamities and for the pandemic to end soon. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri has reminded Malaysians not to be complacent and comply with the standard operating procedures SOPs, even though restrictions have been lifted since the country entered the transition to endemic phase starting Friday. He said compliance, including wearing a face mask in public places, is still a requirement now. He also said many people will be returning to their hometowns to celebrate Ramadan after not being able to do so previously.
Pada Ramadan tahun ini, umat Islam dapat kembali merapatkan saf untuk menunaikan solat fardu dan tarawih secara berjamaah serta menyemarakkan program Ihya Ramadan tertakluk kepada ketetapan pihak berkuasa agama negeri.
He also said many people will be returning to their hometowns to celebrate Ramadan after not being able to do so previously. However, in light of the flexibility given, he urged the people to continue practicing self-control. The Prime Minister added that the Ramadan month was an opportunity for one to realize oneself and to increase the practice of almsgiving, among others. He also hoped the holy month would strengthen the spiritual aspect of Keluarga Malaysia, and at the same time, he said Muslims should maintain a relationship not only with the Almighty, but also with fellow human beings. Now, Malaysia is expected to receive the first groups of 10,000 Indonesian domestic helpers, PDIs, after Ramadan. This follows the Memorandum of Understanding MOU for the recruitment and protection of PDIs signed by both countries in Jakarta on Friday. Human Resources Minister Datuk Sri M. Saravanan said that the MOU, among others, set the cost of bringing in PDI at below RM15,000.
Keperluan itu memang kita nak kena segera, tetapi memandangkan mungkin mereka nak spend time dengan ahli keluarga, kemungkinan besar mereka akan datang lepas bulan Ramadan.
In addition, Datuk Sri Saravanan said the MOU outlined that an Indonesian maid can only serve for a household of not more than 6 people. Aside from this, he added their salary must be paid before the 7th day of every month, and all PDIs will also be provided with safety net through Social Security Organisation (SOCSO) contributions. The ministry will also hold an induction course for all PDIs and foreign workers. Through this course, they will be informed about their rights as workers, as in many cases, many of them are not aware of it and would not file any complaints if there are abuses committed by their employers. On Friday, the signing of the MOU was witnessed by Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri and Indonesian President Joko Widodo at Istana Merdeka. A special committee comprising government officials from both countries will meet once every 3 months to monitor the implementation of the MOU. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah and Raja Pemaisuri Agong Tunku Azizah Aminah Maimunah Iskandaria are undergoing self-quarantine at Istana Negara after being confirmed positive for COVID-19. Controller of the royal household for Istana Negara, Dato' Ahmad Fadil Shamsuddin, said Al-Sultan Abdullah is undergoing quarantine until Thursday, while Tunku Azizah until Friday. In a statement released on Saturday, Dato' Ahmad Fadil said both the King and Queen are only experiencing mild symptoms and are in good health. He added that their Majesties consented to undergo self-quarantine in line with the protocols and standard operating procedures (SOP) stipulated by the Health Ministry for COVID-19 cases with mild or no symptoms. Dato' Ahmad Fadil also said that in conjunction with Ramadan, the King called on his subjects to always be vigilant and practice self-discipline, even though the country had entered the transition to endemic phase on Friday. He also urged the people to pray for their Majesty's speedy recovery and long-lasting health. Moving on, Malaysia has entered the transition to endemic phase, which has enabled the people to enjoy more flexibility and return to near normal lives after battling COVID-19 for over 2 years. Despite being given more relaxation, the people are still required to comply to certain standard operating procedures, including conducting COVID-19 self-testing when needed. However, some concerns have been raised on the reliability and accuracy of the self-test kits, especially considering the emergence of new mutations of the virus over time. Alif Yunus reports.
Among the issues with the self-test kit that were raised by members of the public is that some of them might give false or invalid results. Some users claim the saliva test that they carry out show a negative result, but when they use a nasal test, the result was positive or it was the other way around. According to Malaysian Medical Association MMA President Dr. Koh Kachai, the accuracy of the antigen self-test kits depends on the sampling method being used and the quality of the samples.
Professional test kits rely on samples taken from nasopharyngeal area or both the naso and oropharyngeal areas where the concentration of the virus is highest, thus contributing to its accuracy. Salivary samples may be inadequate.
He also said that using some throat and nasal swab test kits may not be a good idea, as some may experience gag reflex and may end up with inferior samples which can lead to invalid results. However, the Medical Device Authority (MDA) pointed out that all the approved test kits have undergone strict evaluations set by the Health Ministry in line with the technical specifications issued by the World Health Organization (WHO) and European Commission.
With the new mutation of the virus, all the antigen rapid test kit that approved by MDA can detect the infectivity of the virus regardless any type of strain. Okay, however, the test kit cannot distinguish between the strain or the new mutation of the virus.
On maintaining the quality of the test kits that are currently available in the market, the MDA said they are taking various steps, including conducting periodic inspections at premises that sell COVID-19 test kits to ensure compliance of the regulations and conditions that have been specified by the agency.
In principle, the responsibility to monitor the safety and performance of medical device is placed on the establishment's shoulders. However, for COVID test kit, MDA is doing active monitoring by issuing reminders to establishment to ensure that they comply with requirements, and also they need to ensure safety and performance of the self-test kit in the market. Okay. And we also conduct market surveillance to check only those approved test kits are available in the market.
The MDA is also monitoring online selling activities of self-test kits that are without valid authorization, approval or license to prevent members of the public from buying non-approved home test devices. The public are reminded to not lower their guard in the fight against COVID-19. The use of face masks, hand sanitizers and self-test kits are only tools in our war to stop the virus from spreading. Although self-test kits aren't as accurate as PCR tests, they still play a key role in detecting COVID-19 cases that otherwise would have gone undetected. Alif Yunus, TV3.
The proposal by the Thailand government to simplify the standard operating procedures SOPs for entry at the Malaysia-Thai border checkpoint in Wang Kelian in Perlis will be brought to the next State Executive Council meeting. State Tourism Committee Chairman Ismail Ahmad said her meeting with Thailand Tourism and Sports Minister Pipat Ratchakitprakarn on Saturday was to discuss in detail the SOPs set by both countries.
Orang Thailand nak masuk ke Malaysia ni, dia kena buat PCR Lara? PCR 2 hari sebelum. Dan sampai sini dia kena buat ITK pula. Jadi yang itulah yang dilihat rigidnya oleh pihak Thailand. Kerana dia orang dah lepas dah PCR sebab mereka dah negatif. So sini tak perlu lagi lah buat ITK. Itu maksud dia yang dibawa oleh menteri tadi.
Asmaiza said there are several procedures that are seen as too strict, and Thailand, through its tourism minister, has proposed a number of measures to facilitate the affairs of tourists from Malaysia and Thailand at the Wang Kelian border gates. She also said the state government would conduct further discussions with Satun Governor Ekarat Leeson to iron out several issues. Meanwhile, Perlis Immigration Department Director Khairul Amin Talib said the Wang Kelian border gates are open from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily. He added Malaysians travelling to Thailand are advised to get enough information on the SOPs that need to be complied with so that they will not face any problems later. It was previously reported that confusion over the SOPs at the Malaysia-Thai border checkpoint in Wang Kelian prevented some travellers from continuing with their journey following the country's border reopening on Friday. This as a number of Thai visitors were unaware of the COVID-19 tests that are required for entry into Malaysia. Moving on, the strength of opbenting will be increased with additional members if necessary following the reopening of the country's borders on Friday. Chief of Defence Force General Tan Sri Effendi Buang said the entry of illegal immigrants into the country through illegal or red lanes was expected to increase as the border reopening will help revive the economic sectors, which in turn will provide employment opportunities.
Trend trafik yang masuk ni kan, jika ada keperluan dan kita akan menambah yang sepatutnya lah.
So memang akan diangkat atau berlaku peningkatan?
Akan berlaku.
Pendatang asing
ya. Ya.
Okey.
Dan berarti orang kata ini secara lumrahnya jika ada peluang pekerjaan meningkat di sini, secara automatiknya perkara ini kemungkinan besar akan berlaku.
He said this at a media conference after officiating the Royal Military College RMC's annual parade at Camp Perdana Sungai Besi in Kuala Lumpur on Saturday. He added that currently opbenting is being implemented as usual, but with stricter and stronger enforcement to ensure national security, and every officer and personnel at the country's borders had been informed to be on alert and increase surveillance. A total of 39 members of parliament have switched political allegiance since 2018. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department for Parliament and Law, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi Tuanku Jaafar, said this had also led to political instability in Malaysia, with the country witnessing 3 prime ministers being appointed in a single parliamentary term. According to Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi, this was why the government had drafted the Federal Constitution Amendments 2022 Bill on anti-party hopping, which has taken some 5 months to be completed. He added that at this stage, there are still some quarters who agree with the bill and some who do not. On March 24th, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi said that Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri had agreed to the bill being tabled at a special parliamentary sitting on April 11th. However, this would be subject to a decision by the Cabinet on April 6th. Meanwhile, Datuk Sri Wan Junaidi said a suggestion to table afresh a defeated motion on the SOSMA security law will not violate parliamentary standing orders. He said the proposal was over a motion and not a bill, and would not violate a rule that bills that have been rejected by the Dewan Rakyat can only be brought to the House again at the next parliamentary session. Home Minister Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin had recently proposed a motion for the Dewan Rakyat to extend the enforcement of a provision in the SOSMA law for detention without trial for up to 28 days. However, when put to a vote in the Dewan Rakyat last week, Only 85 MPs supported the renewal of the provision, with 86 against, while 49 MPs were absent. More local news later in the bulletin, but first, Sri Lanka declares 36-hour nationwide lockdown. This and more when we return. To the foreign front, Israeli forces killed 3 members of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad group during a raid Saturday in the occupied West Bank. Police said the 3 men opened fire when troops tried to arrest them near the northern city of Jenin, and they were killed in the ensuing shootout. 4 Israeli soldiers were wounded, including 1 seriously. The Islamic Jihad group confirmed the 3 deaths. Palestinian Prime Minister Muhammed said the 3 fighters were slain in an extrajudicial killing and horrible crime. The bloodshed comes amid heightened tensions ahead of the start of the holy month of Ramadan that has seen a spike in violence in Israel and the West Bank. On Friday, Israeli forces shot dead a 29-year-old Palestinian during clashes in the West Bank city of Hebron. Sri Lanka declared a 36-hour nationwide curfew Saturday and deployed troops backed with sweeping new powers under a state of emergency to quell protests against the president. The military has since been deployed and now has the power to arrest suspects without warrants. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa said the state of emergency was necessary to protect public order and maintain essential supplies and services. Anger against Rajapaksa's handling of a deepening economic crisis in the island nation of 22 million people spiraled into violence late on Thursday. A severe shortage of foreign currency has left Rajapaksa's government unable to pay for essential imports, including fuel, leading to debilitating power cuts lasting up to 13 hours. The government has said it is seeking a bailout from the International Monetary Fund while asking for fresh loans from India and China. Meanwhile, Indian traders have started loading 40,000 tons of rice for prompt shipment to Sri Lanka in the first major food aid since Colombo secured credit line from New Delhi. India last month agreed to provide the credit line to help ease crippling shortages of essential items, including fuel, food and medicine. Actions from the Japanese JLeague sports coming up next. Champions Kawasaki Frontale was roundly defeated by Cerezo Osaka 4-1 in the JLeague encounter on Saturday at Todoraki Stadium in Kawasaki. It was the first home loss for Kawasaki in 26 home games. Former Japan international Takashi Inui opened the scoring for Kawasaki in the 13th minute before adding his second 10 minutes later. Hirota Yamada made it 3-0 in the 36th minute. Kawasaki's Brazilian winger Marcino came close to pulling one back 6 minutes after the break, but his curling effort from inside the area hit the bar, and Cerezo made sure of 3 points in the 68th minute. Marcino scored Kawasaki's consolation goal 4 minutes from time. The result meant Kawasaki remained on the top of the J-League table with 16 points, while Cerezo Osaka moved up to 5th place with 9 points. In another match, 10-men Consadole Sapporo and Urawa Reds shared the points after a 1-1 draw at Sapporo Dome on Sunday. David Mulbari converted the penalty kick in the half-hour mark and took the visitors to the lead, but Takuro Kaneko's goal in the 72nd minute helped Mihailo Petrovic's side to equalize the game. The result means Sapporo have extended their draw streak to 6 games and ranked 12th on the table, while the Reds on the 7th with 8 points after 8 fixtures. After the break, dirty soy-based product factory ordered shut. Don't go away. Welcome back. Malaysian food products made an impressive comeback at the International Food Exhibition IFE in London, United Kingdom recently after a 2-year postponement due to the pandemic. Cooking paste such as rendang as well as masak lemak and many more were on display to tantalize the Western palate and to remind fellow Malaysians of their favourites. TV3 correspondent Haliza Hashim reports from London.
2 independent distributors of Malaysian food products, Makan Bites and O Malaysia, based in the UK, said their participation had resulted in business collaborations with supermarkets, commercial distributors and restaurant owners interested in using Malaysian cooking paste. or Malaysia, which started its Halal Street UK online business by promoting Malaysian small and medium enterprises products, has just opened a warehouse in Leicester. They aim to expand the Malaysian brands to the world by bringing good quality products.
Malaysian brand awareness is very critical for us because when someone knows about Malaysia, they get to understand the culture, the food, and they're more amenable to purchase the product. We'd like to introduce the Malaysia brand not just for food products, but for cosmetics, for clothing, for a full range of products to bring Malaysia to the forefront in a foreign country.
Makan Baik started their business from home in November 2020 with just 15 products. Today, their e-commerce platform lists over 300 products and has expanded from retail to wholesale in January this year.
I plan to raise the Malaysian flag high, bringing all these Malaysian products into the UK. Being an importer and wholesaler and distributor, I mean, I'd like to give a new additional dish to the UK market. And now is the height of the Malaysian products in the UK. I mean, people are getting a lot of more awareness about Malaysian dishes, and I'd like to look into gaining more opportunity to supplying to supermarkets, working together and collaborate with other wholesalers and distributors here in the UK.
At the exhibition, Asam Laksa Paste, Kaya and chili sauce are among the products promoted to entice the Western taste buds. Among the brands on display was Maznah Premium Cooking Paste, which has been used by a number of European food caterers. Makan Bites and O Malaysia hope they will be able to further enhance the supply chain of local products to the UK and Europe. More than 1,500 international food distributors participated in the 3-day IFE event. Halisa Hashim, TV3, London.
3 members of a family, including a baby girl, were killed when the car they were travelling in was involved in an accident with 2 other vehicles near Semporna, Sabah. The crash occurred at Jalan Tagasan when the victims were heading to Kampung Salimbangun from Kampung Liha at 4:30 p.m. on Friday. District Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Farhan Lee Abdullah said the incident happened when a Perodua Kancil was hit in the rear by a Ford Ranger before the car veered into the opposite lane and crashed into an oncoming 20-ton lorry. He added 3 passengers in the Kancil, namely the driver's 30-year-old wife and their 10-month-old baby girl, were killed on the spot, while his nephew, aged 13, was pronounced dead while receiving treatment at the Semporna hospital. The driver of the pickup truck and the lorry driver, aged 27 and 32 respectively, escaped unhurt. The case was being investigated under the Road Transport Act. And lastly, a soy-based product factory in Batu Lancang, Pulau Pinang was ordered to close for 2 weeks, effective Saturday, after it was found to be operating in dirty and unhygienic conditions. The factory, which has been operating for the past 10 years, was issued a closure notice until April 16th during an operation dubbed Opbenting by the State Health Department's Food Safety and Quality Division. During the raid, the enforcement team discovered rat droppings, cockroaches and fungus-filled soy containers at the premises, which produces soybean water and tofu, among others. Its factories surrounding also emitted foul stench, and containers with soybeans were also spotted on the toilet floor at the factory. It was feared that the presence of pests could cause cross-contamination and leptospirosis, which spreads through rat urine. It was revealed that the premises had been raided 2 years ago and the owner had been slapped with a compound. The owner claimed he lacked manpower and could not carry out cleaning works at the factory, which has 3 employees, including 2 foreigners. He was also slapped with compounds totaling 5,500 ringgit. Now, 2 years after the COVID-19 outbreak, Ramadan celebrations are finally back on the streets of Jakarta, Indonesia. As we wrap up Nightline, let's take a look at thousands of residents of Duri, Pulau Gambir celebrate Ramadan with a traditional torch relay. With that, I'm Muhammed, Ahmad, Hamdan. Thank you for watching and selamat berpuasa.